yet another delay of Obamacare, another deadline made meaningless. You know, he hasn't put enough loopholes into the law already. The administration is now resorting to an honor system to enforce it. The hell is this, a joke? Listen, this is part of a long-term pattern of this administration manipulating the laws for its own convenience. And it's not hard to understand why the American people question this administration's commitment to the rule of law.
Wow, what the HE double toothpicks, as Richie Cunningham would say, is this a joke? And John Boehner getting mean and nasty and right down to it. No, he's getting angry, actually, as angry as John Boehner could get, except when he yells at conservatives, then he really gets angry. Anyway, talking about the Obama administration's decision to do away with the March 31st deadline. I mean, that was just inconvenient. Who needs it? You folks take your time. You have somewhere until mid-April now to sign up for Obamacare. Joining us now to talk about that and so much more, back by popular demand, is former Congressman Pete Hoekstra. And Peter Morici, University of Maryland professor, economist, and Newsmax contributor. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Hey, nice to be with you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Good to be anywhere, right? But anyway, so Peter, this goes on and on and on, and you know who knows what the next declaration by Obama will be with regard to Obamacare.
Well, yeah, I mean, he just basically does whatever he needs to do. You know, did you see him yesterday speaking in the Netherlands? You obviously did. You know, when I saw him make this statement,
at The Hague, yeah.
Right. He really looks worn out and really like he has just been through World War II. And he hasn't, to be honest. Everything is coming apart on this guy. He really just doesn't know what he's doing. I'm a great professor. I really am, if I may say so. But I would never make myself manager of the New York Yankees. Nor would I make a constitutional law professor who has spent most of his time campaigning for office president of the United States. He really thought he could write a couple of telephone books by committee over on the House and wire 1/5 of the U.S. economy, 1/6 of the U.S. economy, just basically stage manage it from Washington like a puppeteer. Well, it doesn't work that way. These kinds of systems evolve over time through the market process, through lots of people bringing information in, and it doesn't work, and it's not going to work.
Congressman, are you surprised by this latest extension of the deadline?
No, I'm not. I mean, the president and the presidency has been reduced to the president is now the pitch man, kind of like I think Fred Thompson is for reverse mortgages. And the goal and objective here is I know, be nice to Fred. That's right. But Fred's in the private sector, and he's getting paid to do it. This is the president of the United States, and, you know, it's embarrassing. He's the pitch man. He and Michelle are the pitch leaders to get 6 million people to sign up by March 31, and if it's not going to be March 31, we're going to make it April 15. I came out of the private sector. Those kinds of things happen in the private sector. You have a plan, you lay it out, you don't hit your goals, you modify and all of that. The difference here is the president is working, I thought, with the law, which is this is how it will be run, and he's treating the law as a bunch of suggestions that he willy-nilly can change to meet his objectives. It explains why Obamacare and the management of health care and any large program should never move over to the government. Peter's absolutely right. These things happen over time. They develop evolutionary. They respond to market forces, market dynamics. This president is trying to manage it from Washington. It just can't be done.
You see what it is?
Peter,
it's atheism. It's atheism. This is a fable here. It's atheism. You see, I was once asked by a woman, an hysterical left-wing woman in the Episcopal Church, in the churchyard one Sunday morning during the Reagan period, Peter, what's this invisible hand? What's all this nonsense? And I said to her, the invisible hand, my dear woman, is merely the commercial division of the Holy Spirit. The market works in miraculous ways by bringing together all of the information and knowledge of the people that buy things and make things, and they make gradual adjustments, and they build this complex contraption that is indeed living. And you just cannot design it in a laboratory. It looks like an awkward robot from a 1930s Boris Karloff movie. In fact, he didn't do robots, he did monsters. It's an awkward monster from a Boris Karloff movie.
Yeah, it's not good. All right, let me just have you guys weigh in on, I mean, you know, CNN is all over now with this breaking news, actually from USA Today, they're quoting. And USA Today is quoting Malaysian officials as saying that the pilot was solely responsible for bringing down the jet and that it was done on purpose. Now, you know, I guess I don't know how they come to this conclusion. If you know, and Congressman, you know, as former head of the Intelligence Committee, I just feel that there's so much here that I don't know if our government knows it, or if every government knows it, or if just Malaysia knows it, or China knows it. But there's so much that they know that they're not telling us. How on earth, if everything we've been told up to this point is true, that could anybody know for certain that at this point that it was the pilot on board that did this on purpose and not the co-pilot, not someone who burst into the cockpit? How would they know that?
Well, I mean, I don't think there's any way that they can know it. I think what's happened over the last 14, 15, 16 days, ever since that plane went missing, it's been amazing to me, the stories, the scenarios, the facts that have come out, and people have been proven to just be dead wrong. And I would take this, again, with a grain of salt. It's someone giving an opinion. I don't believe at this point in time they've got the evidence or they've got the information, again, unless it's something they haven't shared with us, that someone could come up and make that kind of a statement.
Peter, let me ask you go ahead.
If it is credible that, you know, the satellite images, that they have these several hundred pieces and things, I mean, obviously this machine is blown into many small parts. And whatever evidence that we might have to sort things out is at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, likely never to be retrieved. It's all speculation now. We are never really going to know what happened. That's the way these things are. And we just have to live with that. And I think that for them to make statements like that is just absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, and U.S. officials are saying, according to CNN, that they have no evidence to back up the theory that the captain was solely responsible. And I just think the whole thing is ridiculous. Let me ask you, though, as an economist, and certainly weigh in on this, and both of you, maybe take a minute each or a little less. If they knew something that would be bad for airlines, whether it was a catastrophic explosion or a fault in the plane, and they know that, or something happened that they don't want to scare people for fear that people would shy away from flying. Is that a consideration, Peter, do you think?
I think it is. You got to remember, these are human beings. In the United States, our businessmen have learned, and even our political leaders have learned, that covering up is the worst thing you can do. And this, frankly, sounds like a statement intended to deflect and make people go away, like the kind of things you say to school children. And, of course, adults don't go away. The press doesn't go away. So I think that they probably have made a terrible mistake with this statement.
What about it, Peter? You think that there could be something to hide here, not to scare the public, and it's a coordinated effort, or I'm just a conspiracy theorist?
You're a conspiracy theorist. We're not that good. The government's not that good. You know, if there was a structural or a fundamental problem with the design of the plane and they were going to Boeing, Boeing couldn't keep that secret. Right. I don't think we're good that we're not that good that we
All right, well, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go home later, and I'm going to come up with another conspiracy theory for the next time we all talk. Peter Morici, University of Maryland professor, economist, and Newsmax contributor, and former congressman, former head of the Intelligence Committee, Pete Hoekstra. Thank you both, gentlemen. Appreciate it very much. When we come back, another man I admire very much will join us, and you're going to want to hear from Ken Blackwell, former mayor of Cincinnati and former Secretary of State of Ohio. Don't go away.
We don't just talk about the news, we talk to those making news. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.